Everybody, welcome to the Dalton and Darren show. This is kind of a new thing we're going to try. We're going to basically take last week's IndyCar iRacing event and kind of go over it, cut it down to a 15, 20-minute show, go through the highlights, talk about some of our strategy calls, what we saw on track, some on track action involving myself, and just other big events. And this is definitely one we can all think of for the last weekend's race from Michigan. So, kind of going right into it, we're going to watch the start here. And hopefully you can see
Yeah,
both Darren and I in the bottom screens. We got me in the bottom left, Darren in the bottom right. I'm at my home in Indy, and Darren's 20 minutes away from me, uh, coming in via Skype.
how's it
So
going, everybody? Good to see y'all. Yeah, maybe we got
nope,
dogs at both background. Dalton's
yeah,
Poppy and my Zuko and Nella. So maybe we start, Dalton, by telling everybody about qualifying because
yeah. I thought actually we should
you
lead in
see
with
where you
that.
start here, right?
So let's pull up the results. You can see that here we've got, so by qualifying order, maybe. Yeah, there we go.
Oh, grid. There you go. That was it. Yeah, qualifying. So Ericsson and Power and Nasia, you can see extremely close around Michigan. It's just a super speedway for these cars. I raced here back, in a few years, 04, 05. I think the last race was 08 with AJ Foyt in the 14 car that Don's going to be driving. So it is a super speedway, multiple lines, multiple lanes, and super tight qualifying. So we didn't really concentrate too hard on qualifying, did we, Don? Mainly race stuff.
Yeah, we did a lot of race running. Just kind of pulled up the info here. So it's a 2 mile track. Really it drives like a super speedway, especially with the package that we had for these cars. And in qualifying, it came down to short lining and kind of some nuances with the game. There's stuff you can do with the steering rack and your force feedback and all that to try to go a little bit quicker. But really, the kind of meat of it was race running. We really wanted to perfect that and do the best we could in the race, kind of wherever we started. It's just given
Yeah.
how tight it is. You see, looking at the qualifying results, a tenth of a hundredth of a second's covering the first, almost the top 10 practically. So
Yeah.
there's a small error in qualifying could really hurt you. So we started P17 or P16, I think it was, um, and ideally, we wanted to be in the top 10 for the start, just to be out of the danger zone, as it were. And that our initial strategy leading into this would have been starting in the top 10 and trying to stay with that lead pack, cycling to the front, saving fuel when we needed to. But as we'll see now, that didn't quite happen. Starting 16th, and if you didn't watch the race, well, here's the view of the start. So coming to the green, we're 2x2 in iRacing. There's actually a pace car, a pace truck, a pace car, and once the pace car pits, it's up to the leader to go, and this is what happened.
the mayhem
Mayhem.
before
That's a good view there.
start finish line. I mean, pause it there, Dalton. You can kind of just see the craziness.
Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys here that don't do a lot of sim racing, and Dalton, you can probably talk about this. The differences, there are quite a lot of differences between, driving a race car on a sim than it is on the racetrack. I mean, they were pacing really super slow at the start. I don't think they really knew what was kind of going on. Some of the guys, this is their first race, right?
Yeah, this was a lot of guys are just getting into this. Online stuff, the online racing, and yeah, it's tough because you've got people with different equipment, different setups. I'm running the VR, right? I've got the Oculus headset that I put on, so with that I can look around and have good situational awareness. But for some guys, if you're just running one monitor, unless you have a really good spotter externally, you don't really know what's going on beside you, and I think that's catching
If
some
they
guys
even
off
had a
guard.
spotter, right?
Exactly, yeah.
If they even had a spotter, I was spotting for you, and I know Dale Jr. had one of his guys spotting for him, which was fun to listen to at some points, but maybe not everybody did. And you're relying on the games spotters as well, aren't you?
Yeah. So if you're watching the start from my view, Everything looks good, and then just total chaos. I was slowing down. I've got Darren in my ear saying, go low," and there wasn't really anywhere to go. Um, just kind of squeaked through that. We go to the chase view.
Super lucky, really, to be honest.
Yeah.
I mean, good.
Oh, he did
Oh,
damage
good
the rear
skill. Sorry,
wing.
Dalton. Good skill.
Totally. Yeah, so I did get pipped from behind by somebody. I'm slowing down. Who's
Yeah,
that
right
behind me
there. We
there?
thought you might have had some
Oh,
damage
it's
there, didn't we?
Veach.
But
Yeah, so
that kind
he,
of
he
thing.
did kind of ding my wing a bit. So that's something that this game does. It does model damage to the cars. As you can see, some guys are missing, oh boy, parts of their cars and upside down and just general chaos. So something that they did and they've continued to do for these
Pace car's
race
coming out. Be mindful of.
for these races is that we've got what's called a fast repair in iRacing. You have these things where you just got a quick repair effectively, and you're able to reset your car. Um, you know, without taking the time the game would normally take to actually get the car fixed. And
Yeah, the game normally would, if you pitted, say that little bit of damage under your rear wing, you can see it there
right
on the
there,
right of your screen.
oh,
That might have
uh,
taken 10, 15 seconds in a normal, licensed race on iRacing, right, where you're gaining points and things. Whereas this is an invitational race. They gave us, it was just a one fast repair, wasn't it, Dol?
yeah,
So you come into the pitch, you can switch it on, you can switch it off. You can see a lot of the other cars have done scrolling through here that didn't have damage. And this was really a pivotal point in the race, wasn't it, Don? We can
yeah,
talk about strategy. We'd done some practice races throughout the week for everybody to get used to the park and get used to the strategies and things like that, see fuel economy and what have you. But this was, we thought there was going to be a lot of yellow flag running, didn't we? There
hmm
was a lot of wrecks in practice. Actually, everybody behaved themselves pretty well in the
yeah.
actual race.
Just given how it went in the practice races, we were really kind of expecting, it to come down to more of a two-stop strategy overall. It was an 85 lap race, and a stint was about 40 laps. Just muting iRacing, so we can have it play in the background. So we were kind of expecting, to do two green stops if it went green, and if not, um, but with the big
Just
crash
wait for
happening,
yellow, really.
yeah.
Yeah.
And like with the big wreck happening right off the bat, we had effectively guys were able to quick repair and then jump a couple laps on fuel, um, and be able to more easily attain that one green stop with a lot of fuel saving, which ended up being what Simon did. But if we kind of go back to the restart,
Yeah, so
yeah,
tell everybody about what happened with our decision making. So you're in 18th, 16th, 18th place qualifying, right? And we were trying to get
yeah,
in the top 10 to stay out of that crash zone, and we
hmm
ended up with our decision making of those 5 yellow flag laps. You can see on the left there the 1 minute 44, 1 minute 30, 34 of yellow running. We decided that you got into 7th place, hadn't you? We
yeah,
decided to stay with the leaders, didn't we?
yeah.
That was our new strategy.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing. It's like at this point you have a decision to make. You're either gonna go for try to go fuel save and be conservative, or follow the lead pack and basically follow what the leaders are doing. And we felt like track position wise that we were pretty comfortable making that call to stay out with the leaders, given that, like I said, in these practice races we saw lots of yellows,
So many
right?
yellows, and we've done one lap and it's gone yellow
Yeah,
straight away. We were pretty confident it wasn't going to go green for the rest of the race, just like the other guys up ahead of us and several behind us. So I think it was in a real race situation, it would have been the right call. But sometimes it happens and you don't get lucky, and that's what happened to us and the other guys in the top 10 at the end of the race. We all had to go for a splash of fuel, didn't we?
yeah. And that's really what caught us. Oh, that was that moment. I guess we can go over that. I kind of forgot about that. Yeah, and that really just is basically what caught us off guard, is that we were we basically had to cycle back and do that splash and go, and that I think we were running what 11th or 12th at that point.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah, you'd had another
Had to mute
incident in
my
the pit
screen.
lane which dropped you back outside. you were happy running in the top 6. I think you were running P1 and 2 for a long time, weren't you, with Robbie?
Yeah, we were out front. Yeah, I forgot about that. We were out front.
Yeah, we'd got right up to the lead, which we were comfortable in during the practice races, which is why you weren't so worried about qualifying where you were, knowing we could race to the front.
Yeah.
You see here just a small little incident with Newgarden. You just touched on the restart, just pushed up into him, or he came down a little bit.
Lap 15, Palu made it 3 wide. Now you can see here we're both in the aero wash, and that's actually something that the game models quite well. Is the fact that it's if you're behind a car, just like in real life, you lose that downforce off the front wing, being in that dirty air, low pressure zone. You don't get the the actual force on the wing to give you the grip. And I just kind of washed up in. Joseph was coming down a bit maybe, and he got sent spinning. I think that took him more or less out of the race.
He did go out there, didn't he?
Yeah,
That was a bit of a
he
shame.
took him and Colton. Oh, and then Colton went flying through the air there.
Yeah, they do have some good crashes on iRacing, don't they? It's not really what happens in real life, which catches you out a lot of time. They haven't really quite got the energy absorption, I don't feel. Do you, Dalton? So, like today, we were testing in, this is Thursday, before the Motegi race, and we're doing the practice races before Motegi, and guys crash in front of you and they rebound off the wall, don't they, rather than absorbing the energy and just stay in the wall like in real life. It's kind of tough.
Yeah, I don't know if you see, I'm just typing in there. If anybody wants to ask any questions, this is kind of an open forum.
Yeah.
So shoot us any questions you have. We'll try to answer. But yeah, that's something that is kind of weird with the way the model is. It's like the model of the car is almost like infinitely rigid, and it doesn't. It's like it's made out of paper mache. Imagine like you have a really light, stiff thing that you're trying to catch with your hands, right? It's like it's hard to catch, and that's almost what this is like. Once the cars start moving, flying through the air, it's like they have no inertia. It's not like you're there's no weight to them, and they just start bouncing all over the place. So
flying and flipping really high, like you saw behind you there, didn't you?
And it makes it really hard for the spotters to kind of actually call, because normally you'd see a car spinning and you're going to say, okay, go high, go low, blow up, whatever it is. But when it's just kind of this fur ball of IndyCar flying through the air,
bouncing all over the place, weren't they? So
here we're running not 1-2, but we're running behind or in front of Junior here. That was actually really cool to get to race against Dale. Haven't raced against him in real life, so to get this opportunity on iRacing, following along with him here, was really unique.
He did a great job, didn't he?
Yeah.
He made silly mistakes. He was respectful, and he learned very quick.
Yeah.
We've got Kyle Busch as well this weekend, and it looks like he was going pretty well in practice as well. So I didn't realize, because I was on a spot of you, Dalton, actually, when you look at your rear wing, if you go to the chase view of yours with that damage on your rear wing, early on there on the left side of your rear wing, that should be dead straight. That would be slowing you down. I never realized you had that, because I'm spotting, and I've got a really zoomed out view that we do on iRacing to make sure I can see what's going on around you. I don't really zoom in this close, apart from in practice. So we're doing a good job holding your own and getting up there with that bent wing. I can't hear you, Dalton.
Can you hear me now? Sorry, my thing was muted. So the liveries that you see in iRacing are dependent on them being on your computer, and I think the replay, because I forgot to save the replay. This is from one of the engineer's computers, and he must not have had all the files on his, because like my livery doesn't show the K-line car and all that. But we're running here with Ryan, and you'll see guys running 2x2, and that was a big part of figuring this track out, was how you run in traffic. And, Darren, you've probably raced here back in the day, right? You can probably talk to how hard that is to actually be able to stick with that pack and kind of find air and not get washed out.
Yeah, you can see yourself here on the replay, right? You're going in there right underneath his rear wing. You're ducking the left side underneath him, but you still get a wash out, and then you ended up like half your car above him. So it's always about trying to to just minimize the aero wash. And you're in a really good position here right now. And I think I remember us talking, we were just happy, just holding station, saving fuel. You'd made up an Excel file spreadsheet, hadn't you, that I was, plugging in numbers as we were going through the race to see how many laps we could do. And right now you're comfortable to go racing. You can just get to the end of the race in this position and you're gonna be good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, just following along here. Where's the chase view?
With the new halo and windscreen, that's good visualization of what you see in the real car, isn't
it? Yeah, if we go back to that. So they actually put all this together for this challenge. Some friends of ours were working on getting this model in the software and getting the 3D model and the images and everything right. So just clear the UI. This is what we actually see in the car, and it's pretty realistic. It's a lot hotter in the real car, but that's what it is. The only real difference I can say is that in the actual aero screen, they have heating elements, kind of like those things. If you look close at like your rear window, if you have a rear defrost, you can be able to see little wires going through your car windshield, and they actually have that in the aero screen for fog. So the color is a bit different. It's a bit more yellow in real life, because of whatever and just the material, the thick acrylic or whatever it is that it's made out of.
Tear-offs and all that kind of stuff as well. You can see already you're starting to get some rubber on your windshield right there.
Some rubber buildup right there.
Yeah, they model that pretty well, and they used to have it when you didn't have the aero screen, the actual tear-offs on your visor, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Trying to just make it as real as possible. They're doing a great job.
Yeah. So we'll skip ahead to our first pit cycle here.
Yes.
Lap 42. So at this point, we got Pagano. Let's see what happened there. All right, that's a cool view. So Pagano, he ended up winning the race. Early on in the race, I think he probably got collected in that crash at the start and would have pitted for fuel under yellow. We restarted the race in 7th and he was 14th. And he'll actually, because he's saving fuel now, they committed to a fuel safe strategy pretty early. We're gonna pit here on lap 42, right here.
Yeah, you can see guys already starting to peel in, knowing that they're not going to be able to make it for the rest of the race. That's what we were doing right now, right, Dol? Yeah. He'd made his early stop, and he's got five more laps than you. And we knew we couldn't save 5 laps of fuel. We needed to get to the end. It was literally that 5 laps of yellow. And Kyle Kaiser, he said, didn't he, that he had to pit on the very last lap.
Yeah.
Or he ran out of fuel. He didn't save enough, even pitting on lap 4 or 5 that he did after that crash. So right now we're saying, we're going to have to make 2 more stops, or unless we get a yellow. So we're staying with the leaders. We're going to pit here, do your quick repair for any damage that we thought we had, and go from that, right?
Yeah, and we're working lap 40 right now, so it is kind of fun on the replays. You can come back and look at some different views. So let's do 41. I think we're pitting this time. Yeah, we're pitting this time. So if we go cockpit view, do roll bar. It's kind of a cool view. So at this point, Darren and I have been talking. He's saying, all right, pit this lap. You're coming in. Pitting off 4 under green. So a big thing here is like how fast can you get the car wound down, and you don't want to leave too much room. You don't want to leave too much room for error, because if you're on the pit lane speed limiter a second before the cones, and you're just kind of wasting time. So we did a lot of practice of kind of out and ins, and getting that point right of exactly where you're going to start braking to slow down and not waste any time going slower than you need to. So see here, I'm going all the way over, signaling I'm coming in. Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
coming in.
These guys who just passed you, they would, everybody see the leaders in front of you just pitting in as well, and this is where you got caught up.
Yeah.
With
Nazar. So here,
what is he doing?
didn't really evade. I mean, it's partially my fault because I actually forgot. So in iRacing, you might see it like you're able to drive through cars if they're in the slow lane, but if they're in the fast lane, you can't. And I just kind of forgot. And like as I'm coming towards them, like, oh, I don't need to like swerve too much, so I'll just drive right through them. And turns out that if you're in the fast lane, you do actually hit them. So lesson
But he was
learned.
going. He was
And
doing a
he's
little
still
bit.
moving too, so it's
Yeah, it was difficult, and we were going to do a fast repair anyway. But you having that spin,
yeah. That probably
so you
cost
didn't
us a
really
couple
lose too much
spots.
time in pit stop. But on pit lane, you probably dropped 5-10 seconds, didn't you?
Yeah. So that's all said and done, that probably cost us 3 or 4 spots, maybe 3 spots, let's say. All right, leaving the pit, so it's flat on the apron coming around. At least in iRacing. I don't know. Do you remember, Darren, what it was like real life?
You try to. You're running quite a lot more downforce in the race, and in qualifying, you come up on the track coming out of pit lane, so you've got the banking that you would go flat on anyway. In super low downforce, trimmed out, super loose qualifying mode, and in race you'd be running quite a lot more downforce. And they've done a pretty good job in modeling that as well. They have guys, don't they, the iRacing group, give us a fixed setup, which I think has really been invaluable. If we were doing our own setup work, you'd have the iRacing, experts like McLaughlin and Sage. They'd just kill everybody, wouldn't they? At least it's a little fair now. I lost you again. Sorry. You muted?
Good. You good? What Darren's talking about is that basically there's one qualifying setup and there's one race setup. It's not like real life racing where the teams are free to do whatever springs and wing settings and all that they want. So here we are catching up on Dale, I think. Nope, Scott.
Yeah.
And yeah, that just if it was open setup, like I said, we could spend all week, and we're already spending a lot of time doing this, so it's good that we aren't having developed that.
Yeah, if you go to results right now, Dalton, click on results and see where you are. You're a lap down.
Yeah.
You can see Pagano, McLaughlin, and Earnhardt are the guys. The real leader there is probably Power, to be honest. Maybe he hasn't even pitted yet. I don't know. But everybody back down there, definitely Pagano, McLaughlin, and Earnhardt, they didn't pit, did they?
Yeah, and at this point, we hadn't really committed to a fuel safe strategy, so you won't hear me like breathing off the gas and lifting. Whereas maybe we can see what.
So at this stage we needed 5 more laps. I remember us going through your fuel sheet, Dalton.
Yep.
And the number that you were going to have to try and hit for the next, 30, 40 laps or whatever's left in the race was, you weren't even going super slow. You weren't going to hit that fuel number.
No. So here we're spying on Simon a little bit. Kind of see you can see he's kind of just hanging back. He's not really pressing the issue with Kyle in front of him, and he's just saving fuel. And they probably they probably saw that, okay, now it's time to take a gamble on a fuel save setup. I wonder if he'll actually go for the pass. No, you can actually hear him lifting.
Yeah.
So and we did practice that quite a bit in testing, but we kind of made the call that there were so many yellows in these practice races that there's no way it could go green all the way to the finish. But looking back, I kind of think that big wreck spread it out, right? It's not like there's really too many big packs anymore. And I think everyone maybe got a little gun shy with a big incident like that. And like, okay, let's try to make this clean.
Green flag stops, even in real life, they spread everything out because some guys are going to come in quick. You're going to spread out a pack. You lose a second. Like we were working in a pack under half a second. Once we lost the draft by 0.8 of a second, I think it was, wasn't it, all?
Yeah.
It was very difficult to get back up there.
Yeah.
So that was it. That was interesting. Like, once you get into the pits, you lose, 2 or 3 tenths. You've lost a draft pretty much a lot of the time.
And the way it's modeled in iRacing, I think it's about a second and a half back is where the draft really starts to kick in. They did an update. They were working with the drivers, with all of us, to say, okay, is the way the car drafts realistic or not? And some of the guys with more experience than me, obviously, I haven't driven in an IndyCar and oval, but still driving the lights car, it gives you some understanding of it. And they said no, the draft kind of switched on and off prior to at that 1.5 second mark. And I think with the update, they made it a little more progressive, so it's a bit more realistic.
Yeah, watching a few guys today on the Motegi oval practice, they were definitely drafting from quite a lot further back. So what lap are we running here? Lap
We're
53?
running 53.
Yep.
Let's jump back to our car.
Yeah, 16th, and we thinking, okay, we're in a good position here. Everybody, there's still guys that are going to pit. We're probably going to catch a yellow.
Oh yeah, this is about when we kind of worked through this pack.
Yeah.
So here we're coming up on, we just passed Shelton. We got McLaughlin, Harvey, Dale, and Hinch. And of those guys, Scott is on some McLaughlin, the blue car, in this. He's on a fuel save strategy.
Yeah, so he's right at the back of this pack. Not putting up a fight, doing a good job saving fuel. Yeah.
Let's see if we can fast forward a bit to where the action happens. So we're drafting up. Yeah, slowly getting there. There we go. Okay, so we get by Scott. This is just kind of a pretty standard pass for here. He's staying high, trying to save his tires. We've pitted sooner than him. Later than him, so our tires are a bit better.
Yeah, and he's not putting up a fight. This is perfect for him.
Yeah, he's like, oh, great! I'll stay behind you and save fuel. Thank you very much.
Yeah, exactly. We're trying to get to the front. He's trying to save fuel. That's the difference in those strategies for sure.
And Harvey. Cockpit view. So it is pretty hectic trying to get this done because you've got your spotter talking to you, car high, car low. You're trying to save your tires, but also be aggressive enough that you're not just going to run 2x2 the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of get a run. So and that kind of thing can happen a lot, where if you make a move and you don't quite have enough of a run on the guy, they can just hold you on the high line.
Yeah,
and then
with it being a super speedway, the multiple lanes are just as fast as each other. You can see your rear wings being fixed here.
There.
Is that Rossi or
that is Harvey?
That's Harvey. That was Harvey, wasn't it? They got similar car colours.
So here, and now he's kind of learned, right? Because the last 2 laps, I've gone tight in 1 and 2, and 3 and 4, and now he's saying, okay, Dalton's going to try to pass me. I'm going to take the air off his front wing, run his line. So here, I probably could have done.
Yeah,
it's kind of a cool shot.
You get it done there.
I think I get Dale too. Yeah, 2 for 1 there. Take that. Now we're slotting in behind James.
Mm-hmm.
And this is more or less, from here on out. I think James. I can't remember if I got by James or not. Let's see. We had a good run. James and I seem to have a habit of running into each other in this iRacing series.
Canadians sticking together.
Yeah, Canadians tracked into each other or something. I don't know. The Syrupy Bandit, or is that what his was?
Oh, Syrupy Bandit, yes.
Something like that.
Got to get you a nickname.
Yeah. 66 of 85. Yeah, so James kind of pulled away from us. I think that's Scott in front of us again now. So at this point, we're starting to now think about, okay, now we're, it normally would show right here our field number, but like I said, this isn't my replay. This is from one of the engineers from his iRacing account. So one of the things that the program does is it hides all this information from people on, they're looking back at their replays. So I can't go to Carol, he's in the pits, but I can't go to Scott's car and say, okay, at this point he had 2 gallons and we had 1 or whatever. So it makes it kind of fair that way. Mm-hmm. Let's find our car again.
So you just pitted there.
That was somebody else. we were just
That was
cycling
somebody
through.
else. So yeah, well there you go, right? So there's a lot of the other guys. Some of the other guys are saying we're not going to make it. So we were having this discussion, weren't we, Don? Like, how far are we going to go on tires?
Yeah.
Because your fronts were kind of going away and you were kind of losing lap time. We were thinking, okay, do we split it? 50-50. I think it was like 20 laps and 20 laps instead of just 35 and 5 or whatever. But because tires were an issue, we decided to go a bit longer, though. I think, didn't we?
Yeah, we again were like, since we knew that it wasn't likely or that it wasn't possible to save fuel to go to the finish, we basically committed to we're gonna hope for that last 10 lap yellow.
Yeah.
And if we get lucky, maybe we pit.
Save those 5 laps of fuel, basically, right?
Yeah, and then we can either save the fuel, or if we maybe get lucky, I guess pit before the yellow and not lose track position, I would think, and then have fresh tires, but have to make a whole bunch of passes under green off the restart.
Green flag stop's just going to kill you more than anything else.
Yeah. So we're working.
Yeah, I think this is lap traffic. Lap traffic with fresh tires.
Yeah, and we're gonna pit on 77 here, so we got another, not this lap, but oh yeah, no, we are. Yeah, we come in this lap. So if if we hadn't had that yellow off the start with that big crash, we might have gotten lucky and been able to see there swerve, kind of be like, oh, coming in. We probably would have got lucky or been able, that this would have been the winning strategy, but since that yellow really jumbled everything, it just it was pretty lucky, because if you're not lucky, but it worked out right for that strategy for Simon, because you had a race where the distance was effectively 2 green flag stops plus a few laps. If the race had been 2.5 stints long, you couldn't have immediately gone to the fuel save strategy, because there's no way you're going to save half a stint of fuel over 80 laps. But over 80 laps, you can definitely save 3 or 4 on a 30-second lap.
They got that 5 laps by like having their hand was forced, and they were nearly committed to it. After pitting on lap 5, they were like, okay, if I see.
Oh, Darren's cutting out. This is the struggle of working from home. Everyone's internet, everyone's on Skype and talking, and it's probably taking up all the bandwidth. Let's see if Darren comes back. Are you back? You kind of blipped out for a second there.
Oh, I did. I was just. I don't know if you got me all. Who we got talking?
Atlantic Cat, how's it going? Yeah, Darren is Danger Mouse. I could be Danger Cat. There you go.
There you go, DK.
Be like a cheetah or a panther or something. Oh. People used to call me Donkey Kong when I was going through school, so that was. I always thought it'd be kind of funny to people have little cartoon characters. You'd have the DK, my big arms, right? Flexing his Donkey Kong arms with a racing helmet on, wearing a race suit. But I feel like that's a trademark copyright issue just waiting to happen.
Probably just as much as Danger Mouse.
Oh, right, because so for the people that don't know, that's a cartoon in the UK, right?
It was, yeah, in the I guess mid-80s or whatever. Dalton Kong, very good, very good.
Dalton Kong, there you go.
So that's what we're doing. We're coming on here and we're like, this is our first time. This is our pilot. We're gonna in quarantine here, figure out stuff to do. But we are, tell everybody what we're planning on doing when we go real racing, Dalton, as well.
Yeah. So the goal with this is, we're basically testing. Was that the end of the race?
Oh.
Yeah. So
it was pretty anticlimactic end of the race.
Basically, we just finished here. We finished 11th again, or 15th or something.
Yeah.
But yeah,
so everybody from the lead, the top 2 or 3, even Dale, who finished 3rd, he was saying we looked into that strategy. So if you didn't crash, let's say that didn't happen, that would have been top 3, maybe 4 guys out of the way from you. So you would have been 6th or 7th, and that crash in the pit lane, that would have been another, you know, 2 or 3 spots
yeah.
probably, and you never know what would happen then.
Oh, you see Kyle there running in the field. But yeah, so our
Yep.
our kind of goal with all this is, once we go back real racing, um, whenever it's safe to do so, our plan is basically to see we'll have to determine what footage we're allowed to use, because obviously there's rights and stuff with IndyCar. But if we can get on board and maybe throw a webcam or a GoPro in pit lane and kind of splice together something sort of like this, where it's our POV view of how the race went, and basically do like a by race,
Mm.
race recap show, and have everyone be able to come on, ask questions, and we'll explain a bit of the strategy and kind of these decisions, because I think that's one thing you kind of that's hard on the broadcast, is that you see where the cars are, but there's not really a way of explaining where they are in the order and what decisions are being made, aside from the one or two people that the pit reporters talk to. So
Yeah, exactly.
our goal here is to kind of peel back that layer a bit, and hopefully, you know,
You know,
give some
delve
unique
in, delve
content.
into some decision making and show you know, there's a lot more that goes on to it, and give everybody else something good to, you know, the more information people have, I think the more interesting a race becomes. And hopefully, I want that to be a goal as well, is really inform people and show people what we do during these things, rather than just pounding around for 85 laps and crashing into each other.
Yeah,
You know, we are actually making some informed decisions, hopefully. So yeah,
and
should be fun.
yeah, oh yeah, get Toronto Motorsports to do it. Yeah, so I don't know if Darren, if you've ever seen those cartoons, that the guy that does those little like caricatures that Hinge posts every now and then.
Oh yes.
Yeah, so somebody actually tagged me in a thing because I had getting some feedback from somewhere. For the first few races, I like had my mic all close like this, and I was like breathing like
A lot
crazy.
of
And
feedback.
someone was like, "Oh, Darth Kellett."
There you go,
That
DK.
that'd
No,
be
you don't want
funny.
to be the bad guy.
No, you don't want to be
Remember, you're
Darth
still
though. I
into
feel like that's
STEM
not
and
me.
kids and things.
It would make for a funny cartoon though. Anyway, thanks everybody for watching. We really appreciate it. Atlantic Cat,
Absolutely.
appreciate the comments. Come back next week. We're going to Motegi this weekend with IndyCar, and that's going to be a tire degradation race. We'll see how the fuel strategy plays out. 135 laps, I think. So tune in on Saturday for that, and a few days later for our recap show. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. And please make some comments on Twitter and YouTube when we post this on, and give us any pointers of what you want us to do next time. Thanks very much.